Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our planning session on how to build strong readers. I get asked the question all the time, if you don't use a reading curriculum, how do you teach reading? So I'm going to start by saying you do not need a reading curriculum. If you have the right books, you have strong discussions, writing, vocabulary, and provide opportunities for your child to think, you do not need a curriculum. We are not managing a large group of kids like they do in school. So teaching reading for me does not look like reading assigned passages. It does not look like answering predetermined questions, finding the right answer, completing worksheets, moving through different levels, covering standards, and just being on a certain schedule. It does not look like read, answer, grade, and move on. Instead of learning how to follow directions, we are teaching our children how to think for themselves. The goal is not simply teaching your child to read. The goal is helping them to make meaning of what they're actually reading. So these are the things that we do in our homeschool. The first thing is read alouds. My daughter chooses the book. The only thing that I do is I direct her in the order of the books where that's actually on the level that she's reading, because I want her to read on her level. So right now she is reading the Vanderbeeker series. We are on book 2. She chose this book for our read alouds. I'll read half of the chapter. She'll read the other half. Why do we do this? It builds vocabulary. It builds background knowledge. It builds listening comprehension. It exposes her to complex ideas. So it's important for you to read to your child. She's 10. Even when she's in middle school, I'm going to still be reading to her to help her to build those skills. And it's not about just the book that she chose. If there's a particular topic or subject that I want her to learn about, I'm going to choose that book and then I'm going to read to her. So she is going to be 11 soon. She is moving into those preteen years. And so the book that I chose that I'm going to be reading to her is called No Time to Be Dumb. It builds a Christian worldview. It understands identity in Christ. It develops wisdom. It's going to get her wheels turning so she can start asking those questions. Who am I? What do I believe? What does God want me to? Why does God want me to live in a certain way? How do I handle peer pressure? So I chose that book. So I'm going to read it to her, but I have intention behind it. So read alouds. It can be the books that your child is choosing. It can be the books that just something that you want her to build her knowledge around. And that is one of the biggest things that we do in our homeschool. The next thing we do is independent reading. Like I said, in this series, I read half of the chapter, she reads the other half, and there's some days when she's just reading alone. That's going to help her to build her fluency, stamina, confidence, reading habits. So all of those things are good when it's time for to build her reading. So another thing we do is discussions. Whether we're having a discussions around something we're watching, something we're reading, if we're in the car, discussions are going to help her to process, explain, and connect ideas. We also do writing. Every week, our writing skill connects to our reading skill. This week or last week, our skill was comparing and contrast, talking about how things are similar or different. So our writing prompt, it connected to that. So the writing prompt is going to help her with organization, organizing her thoughts, reflecting, and communicating at the end after we finish everything, the revisions and stuff like that. She reads them out loud. So that helps her with her communication skills. Now, this is a big one. Building vocabulary. Vocabulary affects every area of reading and learning, comprehension, communication, and language development. So we do a lot of things for vocabulary. We do word work. I shared this with you guys. I want to say last week there's a video on how we build vocabulary in our homeschool without a curriculum, but we do word work. We do the 365 words that every child should know. As she's reading, she's looking for unknown words. We either Google those words and look for the meaning of those words, or she used context clues. So there's a lot of things that we can do to build vocabulary. And the last thing we do is we teach our reading skills. So a lot of people think that skills are something that you just introduce to them, you do a few activities and you move on. There's intention behind every reading skill. The reading skills help them to comprehend what they are reading. I'm giving you an example. Last week we did compare and contrast. It wasn't just about comparing one event to the next event or comparing this person to this person. It was about teaching her to really be able to identify relationships between different things. When we're teaching theme, it's not just, oh, what's the message of the story? It's teaching her to identify deeper lessons and messages. So it goes way beyond just, this is the skill, I'm introducing this skill, and I'm teaching this skill. We're going to be working on main ideas soon. And it's not just about, oh, this is the most important part of the story. It's going to teach her how to identify what matters most in that story. It's going to help her to build strong comprehension, information processing, to focus. So be very intentional when you are teaching these reading skills. If you want to learn how to plan this week, every week we plan in our homeschool group. We have a different topic, we have a different subject. You have room to ask questions. And if you're interested in learning how to homeschool without curriculum, go ahead and join us.